So, hey Capricorn, my name is Chris, and this is your kind of timeless reading from whenever you find it. I'm recording this in the beginning of February, but it's really timeless, so it's just see what comes up and how it resonates with you. Don't make anything fit, so if it doesn't fit, if it doesn't resonate with you, it's obviously not for you. So just accept what you can accept, what makes sense to you, right? By all means, think about what doesn't make sense on first sight, but you shouldn't try to force it. 8 of Wands, that's a beautiful energy, very supportive. 6 of Cups, remembering joy, and you got everything you need to work on something, through some sort of transformation, right? Maybe you're starting something exciting right now, kind of spring vibes, right? Maybe you can already see that. So 8 of Cups, 8 of Wands, 6 of Cups, and the Page of Pentacles. So everything you need is provided for you. It's not like you're rich or something, you know, not necessarily. Maybe you are. If you are, congratulations. But this is not about money. This is about joy and divine humble pride in what it is that you're doing, and super much support from the universe. With the 8 of Wands, very fast energy. Maybe you're just about to make the initial step into something great. Let's just see what comes up. You're no longer taking the bait of the narcissist. 5 of Swords, the Queen of Cups, 2 of Swords. 2 of Swords kind of going into meditation instead of overthinking something. You're making it happen, so the potential that we've seen before in the first 3 cards. You got everything you need. You should be joyful and divine humble pride in what it is that you're doing. Super much support. The only pitfall is that you jump down into the mud with the pigs. So there might be naysayers. There might be people who constantly, that good old question, right? Who do you think you are? That's kind of a 5 of Swords energy, right? That can also come from your own overthinking mind, right? If you doubt yourself. There's the Queen of Cups here. There's the 2 of Swords here. So very much reminding yourself that you take responsibility of your own frequency through meditation, to breath work. So you breathe in 5 seconds, for example, you breathe out 10 seconds. I say this again and again because you can't say it often enough. It's really important, and you can hear it like a million times. But if you really do it just for a week, right? Just 5 or 10 minutes, if you have the time, you got 5 or 10 minutes. Breath work, right? 1 in, 2 out. 3 seconds in, 6 seconds out. 5 seconds in, 10 seconds out. 10 seconds in, 20 seconds out. However you can do it comfortably, just do it, right? That is so empowering, right? And nobody can trigger you externally. So if you're constantly feeling like you have to react to the outside world, that's 5 of Swords energy. That's kind of the conflict energy that's dragging you in, right? But you don't want that. You want to control yourself in the sense that you are taking responsibility for the question, what are you engaging with? And what are you just rejecting, right? So this is a very empowering move. Gives you a connection to your subconsciousness, to your intuition. It doesn't negate the mind, doesn't negate the intellect, right? But brings both of them together. Breath work and meditation, if you can do that on top of that. Here's the 2 of Cups in the center, bringing these two worlds together, right? The head and the heart, basically. And this is the inner peace from which you are creating. So do protect your inner peace from people who are trying to provoke you or entangle you in some sort of conflict. Do not raise your voice whenever you feel like you're raising your voice, right? Stop for a moment, and then you realize, oh, I'm been raising my voice, okay. And then deliberately tone it down, speak slower, speak softer. Just communicate your truth, right? No need to scream. People who have to emphasize their argument by screaming usually have a pretty bad argument. So don't be one of these people, right? And that's, again, not taking the bait of the narcissist. If or you don't even need narcissists in your life. You just turn on the TV, you just turn on the news, you just open social media and bam, it's there, right? Constant bombardment with things to worry about, right? There's the Hanged Man, there's the Eight of Swords, there's the Four of Pentacles. So they're just things that we cannot change. There's the intuition with the, that's the High Priestess here, right? That's the overall theme for the basis here. Justice at the bottom of the deck, that's what we like to see, right? So the message here is you got everything you need. You know exactly what you want. You know exactly what you like, what brings you joy, what brings you happiness, right? There's so much remembering joy, Six of Cups energy here. Page of Cups, just very optimistic, being very much aware of your own capabilities, right? You got everything you need, both what you can do, right? Your capabilities, as I said, your talents, right? But you got also the tools and the necessary means to execute that plan. Super support from the universe, and you love doing that, right? And concentrate on that. Concentrate on what you're loving to do. And all the naysayers, all the people who try to lure you into doubting yourself, that might also come from your own psyche by overthinking. Say no to that. Realize it when it happens. Realize it when you're tapping into Eight of Swords territory, when you feel like, oh my God, what can I do? You know, you can do something, and you can do it joyfully, and you got everything you need to do that with all the support of the universe. Just accept the fact that there are things that you cannot change, right? That's the foundation with the Hanged Man. You got the Two of Cups here, so kind of accepting ambiguity, accepting opposing forces in the world, right? That's just how it is. But you basically make a choice on which side are you playing, right? That's the Two of Cups. That's the center of your reading. On the one hand, you got super support from the universe, you got joy and happiness in what it is that you're doing, you got all the talents for it, and that's why you love it so much, why it brings you so much joy, because it's an actualization of your talents, right? Yay. That's on the one side, right? And on the other side is an old conflict, right? That you kind of won, that you're kind of out of it, it's over. And you might be either tempted to jump back into that conflict, you know, which is not a good idea, which is your choice to do. You can either choose power, so to speak, so playing a game of conflict, so to speak, or playing a game of creation, of happiness, of personal empowerment and expression, right? To joy, in happiness, in kind of there's a flow state here with the Six of Cups and the Page of Pentacles and the Eight of Cups. That's a flow. That's a flow state, right? Pretty much these three cards in combination, that's a flow state. So choose that. Choose that to be happy in the moment. And whenever you're tapping back into overthinking mode or worrying mode, or, oh my God, the world is such a bad place, we need to save the world, or need to fight the bad stuff, right? Do not fight the bad stuff. Create and nurture and give energy and loving attention to the good stuff, to what you want to create, to reciprocity, to all the people that kind of vibe on your frequency. Do not tune your consciousness just by giving it attention towards negativity or lower frequency consciousnesses, right? There are enough of these around. They kind of need your energy, right? They are kind of literally energy vampires. Do not give it to them, right? It's never enough. It's not like you can save people, right? You can only save yourself. You can only make sure that you are okay. And from that I am okayness, right? From that self-care, self-love, which is the basis, you taking responsibility for yourself, right? That's the primary thing. We usually are totally indoctrinated with this old paradigm where you say, oh no, self-love is horrible. I think it's even, especially in, I don't want to mock a certain religion, but of course it's Catholicism, right? there's this idea of that we always have to suffer for whatever reason, that God wants us to suffer. That's kind of BS, sorry, but and self-love is kind of condemned because they all think Jesus was only about altruism, which I don't think it's the case. You need to take care of yourself. You need to love yourself as you would love a friend, as you would love thy neighbor, right? Not just one-sided, but as in both. Not just that side or that side, but both, right? I think that is totally misunderstood, right? So by all means, love yourself, take care of yourself, and you are just vibing on the best frequency that you get. If you are in resonance with yourself, if you are, creating from joy, from happiness, from a flow state, because it's just in line with your potential and your talents, right? And the world, is a mess, right? But do what is necessary, vote and support, right? And speak your truth, even if your voice is shaking, that's sure. Don't back down, don't obey in advance or something like that, right? But do not actively engage in any conflict. And that's a discipline. And you cultivate that discipline and that focus on creation, on joy. As I said, true meditation, right? 10 minutes. If you've never meditated, do it for 5 minutes or whatever. Just sit there. And your monkey mind is going to tell you a lot of BS, I tell you. So you just sit there and you think, okay, monkey mind, go along. And you just watch it, your thoughts, like you watch clouds, right? And they change constantly, right? But every now and then they break open and there's the light. And that's meditation. Cultivate that 5 minutes a day if you've never done it before. Together with breathwork, you're transforming your life, I tell you. Instead of, fighting windmills and trying to fight the old system. The old system will collapse on its own. By all means, do the right thing. Stand up for justice. Don't go for revenge. But try not to fight. Try to create. And there's a peaceful, compassionate way of fighting, and the best way to fight is to create the new system, cultivate it within yourself and work on it, create on it, lay the foundations for it. And I see you totally doing that. I'm just reminding you, there's the 7 of Pentacles, right? You're planting your seeds. So do not mourn the old forest that is dying. You have already planted the seeds of the new forest. Remember joy, come back to joy, right? Come back to what you love whenever you're overthinking. One more for the basis, that's the Hanged Man. There's really an emphasis on, sorry, keep going, right? Keep doing what you're doing. I feel like you are absolutely on the right path here. And whenever you feel like you can't do much, right? The world is just such a mess and you want to do something, but you can't, speak to yourself like you would speak to your friend, What would you say to your friend? There are things you can't change. Guess what, right? That's true for all of us. So concentrate on the things that you can change and give them and yourself loving attention, and bam! Number 12, Blue Angel Oracle deck. That's enlightenment. Cool, huh? Just see what it says. Liberation, right? You're liberating yourself from BS, from mindfuck energies, and you're just concentrating on what you can create, and by all means create that, and you're attracting good people just by being in that inner peace frequency and taking care of what is important for you, creating something, creating the new system instead of fighting the old. And then you automatically vibe in that frequency and attract others who might vibe at the same frequency, right? And that's liberation from this idea of saving the world, of fighting other people, or fighting the bad people, or fighting the old system, or whatever, right? Create the new. That's the message here. Enlightenment, liberation. There's no need to hide behind a persona that you think others will find more acceptable. The real you is far more beautiful. You are not your personality, not your job qualifications or achievements. You are not your successes or failures or any other earthly thing. Who you are is far more noble and precious than anything you can possibly imagine. I'm as bad as the worst, but thank God I'm as good as the best. Walt Whitman realized that good and bad, light and darkness, two sides of the same coin. So if you have this tendency of overthinking, right, of kind of hanging in there and concerning yourself with things that you cannot change, then take that reading as a reminder to not try to negate it. You just know yourself good enough to know that this tendency is here. And whenever you are aware enough, mindful enough to realize, oh, I'm doing it again, right? I'm falling down the edge of overthinking and kind of turning myself into this hanged man mess that is concerning himself with things that you can't change, right? Then you remind yourself, oh, I got bigger fish to fry. I got actually things that are important to me. Focus your attention toward that, right? Yeah. And by the way, for whoever it is, right? You might watch Howl's Moving Castle again. I kind of watched that like 1,000,000 times. If you haven't seen it, that's really nice, right? Pantheism is pretty much this idea that God is everything, right? Brahman is the world, right? The world is illusory, Brahman alone is real, Brahman is the world, right? And you are an emanation of that, right? And you can see yourself in the other, and that is kind of the enlightenment part here as well. Not to fight your own projections, so to speak, but there's a loving kindness even in opposing something, even in fighting if necessary, right? Even that can be done without hate, without trying to destroy, but in a kind of consciousness of self-defense and doing what is necessary to maintain freedom and peace and love and the possibility for all that, at least, right? For everybody, right? Pursuit of happiness should be possible in a world, and to defend that is a worthy, loving, compassionate cause. No doubt. That's for sure. In order for the truth to be heard, it must be spoken with love. I hope I just did that. Now good day. So that's what I got, and I hope it resonates with you. If it does, share, like, subscribe, leave a comment, let me know what you think about it. And hopefully see you next time. Now, bye.